Welcome, everybody. We'll have some folks coming in and joining us and all that. And we got different time zones. Excellent. I'm Lisa Kivrist. I work with Moses and have directed our In Her Boots project now for over 10 years. I myself am in southern Wisconsin. My family and I run In Serendipity Farm and Bed and Breakfast outside Monroe. And great, folks are doing some introductions in the chat. Needless to say, we are doing things virtually this summer, and it is new learning for all of us. I can see from the chat that we have many folks who've been to our In Her Boots sessions that we typically do during the summer that are on farm, in person, over lunch and food and conversation. So we are attempting to recreate that women's space online. So yeah, please use the chat and we will roll from there. But so glad you're here. Thank you for your time. You know, it's the busy season, but that's how we started with this reinvention to do this resilience boot camp this summer of creating some opportunities for us to take a step back, to think about how do we take care of that most important tool ourselves. So I'm going to kick things off here and give a little bit of context and background and then turn things over to Charlotte Smith. Okay, oh, here we go. So a quick thank you to our event sponsor, Gemplers. Good, hearty outdoor work. And if you get a chance to see their catalog, they feature so many cool women farmers, particularly from dear Wisconsin, where I am, in authentic situations. So check them out. Thank you. And a couple things for Zoom. This is, I know, new to all of us, new to me, but I'm getting better. A couple things. If you look up to where the boxes, the participant tabs, the boxes where people's faces are, and you want to look at that in different ways, you can click on there. But what I wanted to point out is if you click on your own picture, you'll see a little bar. I don't know if you can see it for me here, but I'm doing mine, is you get some options. One of them is including rename, and you'll see your name pop up, or you might not see your name pop up depending how you signed on. But you can easily, I'm going to change mine right now and say where I'm from. You can add a little bit more info there. So when folks click on your picture, they will know who you are, where you're from, and who knows, there very likely might be people close by where you're at. The other thing is on this menu bar where you see the photos, you can select how you on your own computer want to view things. So there's an option you see for like speaker active video. If you just want to see the person yakking, you can put that on there, or you can have the whole grid video and see small shots of women around the country now, if not the world, who can join us. One of the perks, the silver linings of COVID is we can expand and connect more widely, so you can see a bunch of faces and a lot of farm kitchens, and I see kids and all kinds of other things, so that's great. And again, number 3, use that chat function and introduce yourself. And one of those things that we'd love to recreate here, and we will keep the chat up and I will keep it as a text document too. If you need to reconnect, just let me know. One of the things that's great in our day-long sessions is that networking aspect and that sharing and that question there, what do you need? And put it in the chat. I saw Teresa Stevens is looking for farmland with an orchard in Wisconsin. We are all about the fruit. So put something in there. If it's like that, please keep an eye on the chat. If there's things women are asking for or connections, or you might know somebody, give it a shout out there too. And again, we'll keep that as a text and I will do my best to keep folks connected. Right now, as we move on, we have everybody muted until the end where we may be able to unmute and do some Q&A. So don't worry if there's, you know, cats, children, phones, whatever is going on in your household like mine. We won't need to share that part. Great. And for folks who are not from Wisconsin, where I am, this is our token photo cow bomb. I live in Greene County, Wisconsin, in southern Wisconsin, where we have twice as many cows as people. Also, the highest producer of cheese and dairy in the country. So I am very used to my cow friends. All right, a couple things on Moses, because I hope we might have some new folks here new to Moses. Moses is the Midwest Organic Sustainable Education Service. We are the hub of organic farming training, support, networking, all of these things here in the Midwest and now beyond. We are most known for our Organic Farming Conference, which has been in La Crosse every February and has 3,500 plus people. It is, as we like to call it, the largest organic gathering in the known galaxy. see. So if you've been to the Moses Conference, put something in the chat there and share, because a warm invite to others to come. However, a COVID plot twist, next February's conference will be virtual, which is new territory, and again, opens up some new opportunities for more folks to connect in different ways. So the good folks on the Moses staff are readily figuring out how that will come together, and stay tuned. I want to give a shout out and a big thank you at the Moses staff office in Spring Valley, Wisconsin, to Stephanie Kaufman, who is the glue behind our logistics today, and she's also the glue behind the logistics of the conference. So she's going to stick in the chat, and I'm going to send an email to everybody with all of these links and a resource follow-up email too. But it's live on the Moses website. Steph will put the links in the chat. We're looking for workshop proposal ideas for this new virtual iteration in February. And there's also something really cool called speed shares, farmer speed shares. So these are just 4-minute quick videos, you sharing whatever your learning might be, what you're passionate about, and there's going to be a way to bring all those together and interact with them virtually at the Moses conference. So check out those, and you see here the main website. For folks who registered for the webinar who are new to Moses, you'll be on the e-news and get a lot more info more regularly too. That'll be helpful. One of the most untapped resources of Moses, I think, is there are multiple organic specialists on staff. So these are folks, when you have questions about your organic farming or pest management, or something's eating something, or whatever the problem of the day may be, Moses can connect you directly via voice with experts who can help you navigate those things. So great resource, tons of free publications you can find on the Moses website, including the guidebook for organic certification, especially for folks new to this. It literally will talk you through the process. And then other projects, the Farmer to Farmer Mentoring Program. This one is a great opportunity, and if folks have participated in the mentor program, give it a shout out in chat. This one you apply for, it's a year-long program. You are matched with a mentor farmer that is in the area you're in, want to grow in, want to learn from, and a really organized way to develop relationship over the years. Moses has been doing that for years. And then always doing something new. There's a new Moses Organic Farming podcast that Chuck Andreas is hosting that talks about various topics more broadly in our organic community. And our In Her Boots project, which I will talk more about because that is my baby here. We've been, again, doing this here at Moses now for going on our 11th year. And I'm real proud. We were one of the few, if not the only, sustainable ag nonprofits that has a dedicated program to women farmers, women educators, activists, those of us committed to sustainable and organic agriculture and who are in the field doing it. And we're real proud of that. We love these opportunities to connect. And a couple things that have grown out of our In Her Boots project, our In Her Boots podcast, which we've been doing now for 2 years. We interview a variety of women in a variety of fields, and please ping me anytime if there's ideas or something you would want to share. We are now doing these recordings virtual too, so we've got a little more opportunity there, but you can binge them. They're all online off the Moses site on iTunes or whatever your podcast feed is. The Moses Conference programming, we have typically whole track and breakout sessions at the conference, and we'll be reinventing in some way for next year to bring women together for discussion-based things, because as we all know, we women learn best from each other, so we really facilitate that at the conference and our other programming. Our In Her Boots field days, which again, several of you have been to, thanks for the good shout outs. Those are hosted in the summer on women-owned farms, and a great way to see things in action, ask questions in a really safe setting, and learn from each other. We also do women landowner programming, and this I'll talk about a bit more in a second because we have reinvented it a bit for this summer too. And we have a really active Facebook group under our Moses In Her Boots project. Just send a request to join. We'll be continuing the conversations from our Resilience Bootcamp on there as well. So on the women landowner note, we historically have done women caring for the land sessions, trainings for women landowners, particularly in Wisconsin, in partnership with the Women Food and Ag Network. And when we weren't able to do those this spring, we created some new online resources. So some of you folks might have been at the first webinar we did back in June, but if you didn't, it's online. And again, I'll get these in the follow-up email to you. We did a series of podcast interviews with women landowners on conservation practices, various programs, NRCS opportunities they tapped into. And then there's also this growing case study resources of Q&As with women landowners, what they did, how they did it, how they paid for it, that you can access anytime and take a look at. So these are resources for conservation practices on your land, particularly working with NRCS. Historically, women have not participated in, as much as we should have, in various federal programs, both FSA, Farm Service Agency, and NRCS, the National Resource. Now you caught me on what it was. You know, NRCS. I'll come back to that. But that USDA acronym soup is the entity that has a lot of the funded programs for conservation practices. And we're real fortunate to have some great leaders with NRCS who really want to involve more women, and hence these resources you see. Okay, Natural Resource Conservation Service. There you go, Lisa. And our other resources here, which we are all gathered under today, of this Resilience Boot Camp. So when we weren't able to do our on-farm workshops, we started thinking, what else could we do? And this has been an idea that we've had feedback from you all for a couple years now of, can we do more on how do we make it work physically, mentally, stress management, time management, building our resilience? And that is what we are in the middle of this Resilience Boot Camp. So basically for the months of July and August, we have, you see on the left there, a weekly e-news that we started 2 weeks ago that has all sort of farmer-generated tips, ideas. We have some recaps from the podcasts we've been doing and recipes of easy, healthy things to eat during summer abundance. So you should all be receiving this, having signed up for the webinar, but there might be a couple little glitches there. In the follow-up email I'll send you, there'll be a way to make sure you are receiving that. You can read the back issues, or again, just ping me anytime. We have a specific podcast series of weekly interviews with women in the sustainable ag world, talking about different aspects of resilience. So Venus Williams was our wonderful guest last week of Alice's Garden in Milwaukee, talking about mindfulness. She's a herbalist and she just exudes mindfulness. So there were a lot of good lessons to learn from there. And again, the synopsis is in the e-news. And that'll continue for the next 2 months. We've got a topic, we are in gratitude this week, and ergonomics and body care is coming up next week. And then we have 2 webinars. We are all here for Charlotte to talk about time management priorities. So I'm giving a plug here for the next one we're doing on the 18th of August with Denise O'Brien, who is an Iowa organic farmer and founded the Women Food and Ag Network. And we're going to be talking all about what we're talking about here, of how we can come together as women to support each other in our farming space, idea sharing, resource sharing. So the webinar link offered both. So I know many of you folks signed up for both, which is great. And again, if you didn't, or you want to forward it to a friend, that'll be coming in the resource list as well. So lots of good stuff happening. And that keeps us busy, right? So as I was preparing for today, and this is my, granted, messy home office in our Wisconsin farmhouse, and I was tweaking and playing with this PowerPoint setup, of course, the night before, right? I'm sure nobody does that around here. And I was a little stressed because all these things have to come together for this event, right? And technology, which is not always my friend, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was really focused on this until I looked up out that window you see, and this is what I saw. It had just been raining, and not even a rainbow, but a double rainbow was outside my window. And that's a little synopsis of my 5-acre in serendipity here in Wisconsin. And I was just kicking myself going, Lisa, you know, you need this more than anybody. And this couldn't be more well-timed to take some time to think about priority setting and time management, and how we as women who are committed to our farms and our land and everything in between don't miss rainbows like I almost did, and that we really feel that gratitude and mindfulness in what we do, because it'll only help us be better farmers, be better citizens, and all of that. So yeah, I'm going to be taking notes, and I look forward to the information shared. And a big welcome to Charlotte Smith. Again, with Virtual Worlds today, we can beam her in from her farm in Oregon. And Charlotte's one of those women that we always bring together with our In Her Boots sessions, and in the spirit of our Moses programming of, we're all farmers, but we are all educators, in that we've all learned things along the way, and we have a desire, a need, a calling to share that so we can all grow together. And that's very much what Charlotte has done in her work. So both her own farm story of taking her farm in Oregon, where she does milk and dairy and meat, to, she says, struggling to a successful operation, and how can we do that and keep sane in the process. So what I love about Charlotte's work is it combines the big picture holistically of the why we need to do this with a lot of pragmatic tips, which I am all about, of how can we hack it a little bit too. So thank you so much, Charlotte, for joining us. We will, she'll be asking some questions, or feel free to, again, pop anything into the chat. If you've got broader questions, just save those and we can, we'll go into those at the end. Alrighty, thanks everybody. If you've got any logistic problems with Zoom, just stick that in the good old chat too. Thank you. All right, Charlotte, take it away.
Okay, thank you. You can hear me fine, Lisa?
I hear you fine. If anybody,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen, so yours will go away, I think.
There we go.
If I do it right. Okay, does it look good on your end?
I got the same thing as before. Is it a full screen? People seeing the full screen?
Share. Oh, yeah, hang on. Resume share. When I switch screens, it pauses it.
There we go. We're good.
Okay, cool. Good. Let me get all set here. Great. Well, thank you, Lisa, for having me. I still remember getting to meet you when I interviewed you back in, I think it's been a few years, at the National Farmers Union conference. So it was fun to meet you in person, and I love Zoom so that I can be in Oregon and help people all over the world. And thank you. So thanks everyone for being here. Today I want to talk about, I was invited to talk about how to set priorities and manage your time. So a lot of what I talk about today is because I hit bottom on my farm and was like, whoa, this is not how I thought life was supposed to be. So I started my farm 11 years ago and had have raw milk dairy, which, as you know, is 365 days a year, twice a day. Quickly realized that a one-woman show is, you know, which a lot of us were doing, was pretty unsustainable. I had 3 kids at home. And so I was milking cows in the morning, getting kids to school, juggling sports practices and games, and quickly realized that was unsustainable, raised my price so I could hire help. And my marriage actually broke up that first year of farming. And I'm not saying that the farm caused the marriage to break up, but as you all know, there's a lot of things that take part or play a picture of relationships being successful or not. And definitely being all consumed by the farm and feeling like I was at the mercy of everything there was so much a part of it. So then what happened is I was a single mother farming for a few years, met a wonderful guy who I adore still. And about 6 years ago, I realized that he and I were just like ships passing in the night. It was like, did you feed the pigs? Did you order pig feed? Did you pick up that thing? You've got a customer out waiting, you know, meandering around the field. We were just, all we were doing is just talking about work and not even having a relationship. And at that point I thought, is this all there is? Like, is this what life is? Because I could go get an 8-hour-a-day job and see far more of my family and then come home and, you know, actually cook some vegetables out of the garden, but I didn't have time to do that. So I would say that's about the point I thought, this is not going to work the way it is. So I started learning. I dove into learning the things I'm going to teach you today. Now I am a certified coach, and I have a lot of experience. I've been certified for 20 years, but I got another certification and started coaching farm women in the last few years. And you guys, we are all struggling with so many of the same issues. So I have some help for you today. That's why I'm here. You're going to learn a lot. You're probably going to learn things from a perspective that is 180-degree shift from what you've thought of before, but I can't wait to share it with you. So I'll talk about these resources at the end, but I also I am the host of the Profitable Mindset podcast, and I have a Facebook group, Profitable Mindset for Busy Women, which is just women. I have a men and women group too, but in this one, we talk about women-specific things like our socialization in our society to do it all. So, so just make sure if you're not in that group, you might want to come join. It's fun to be there. So here's what I want to share with you. I have realized that my most valuable asset is my time. I can't get my time back. And I realized this, so many things in life show us that. Like 2 of my 3 kids have moved out. They're adults. They're, 26 and 23, living their own lives. And it seems like yesterday they were toddlers. Like I remember taking them to preschool still. I remember specific conversations, and boom, I'm in a new phase of life. So you can always make more money. You can always go get more customers. You can always create more products, more experience, more things. We can create so many more of all these things in our life, but we can't create more time. The only thing you can do is learn to manage your time. So time is a mindset. And so I'm going to teach you things where you will manage your time, learn to manage your time in your brain so that you have the perception of creating more time, but just know it's such a valuable thing that you really want to learn to manage it so that you protect it and can really live life fully and completely. Instead of, I see a lot of women who are just ready to throw in the towel. A lot of people come to me when they're on the brink of, do I quit or do I keep going because this is not worth it? Running around like a chicken with my head cut off the way it is. So you're going to learn some things to help protect that asset. All right, here's something you could tell me in the chat box if you want. Which type of person are you? Are you a number 1, where you think if there's any time left over for me, then I feel guilty using that time for me? Does that relate? Do you relate to that? Or are you number 2? Are you a person where you create every day with intention, you accomplish exactly what you want to accomplish, and you feel rested and fulfilled? Okay, so Carrie's working hard to be a number 2. Trying to be more number 2, Jane says, but classic number 1. Yeah, 1.5. Lisa's a 1.5. I love that. She's well on her way. So Morgan, somewhere in the middle. Yeah, that's what I hear. Because of our socialization, a lot of us as women do feel that we should be doing something productive if there's some time that we want to take for ourselves. So then we feel guilty. Okay, so I just want to make you aware of that we have been socialized to think that we should be going and doing something and producing something or taking care of someone and not sit idle. That's a socialization. That's not a fact. It's just what we were taught growing up. So this presentation today and my life's work is teaching you how to kind of unlearn what we've been socialized to do. And that whole idea of if you don't take care of yourself first, there won't be anything left to take care of other people. So I want to dive into number 1 first. This is, a lot of people come to me for coaching and they describe their life as everything's coming at me. I wake up in the morning and things just start happening and coming at me and knocking me off my schedule. Or they say there's nothing I can do about it. Or I just can't create the life I want. I dream about this life, but I don't know how to create it. They say that they don't make the decisions. The circumstances in their life dictate what they do. Or if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you feel overwhelmed, what are you thinking about that's making you feel overwhelmed? So all these little bullet points here are often what most people, most women in our society come to me and they're struggling with. They're like I was 5 years ago of there's got to be more to life than just working nonstop and falling into bed. Okay, so then number 2, and this is really interesting because Beth says, I make time for myself productive. So yeah, I'll talk about that a little later, that we often have this driving sense that we have to be productive, even if we're doing something for ourselves. Okay, so let's talk about number 2. This is where you live life with intention, on purpose. So other things aren't deciding what you're doing, you are. And you're thinking about how you want your day to go. You plan and create each day, and therefore you create your own happiness. Like, that was new to me. When I found out that I create my happiness 5 years ago, like, here I am, a grown woman, and I figured that out as a grown woman. And I find that most of us have to figure that out. We aren't taught that as kids or young adults, even, that we are responsible for creating our own happiness. And the other thing I want to say is that people in category number 2, they know it's not about perfection. None of us are perfect. We aren't going to have the perfect day, but it's about creating your day. It's about having the choice. All right, so one of the things that's going to help you with this is this mindset, or this belief of you are not your life. So again, a lot of people get caught up thinking all these things are happening to me. The weather is controlling what we're doing, or the in-laws, or, well, I live, this new regulation passed, and therefore I'm not in control of my life. But I want to share with you, and this might be new to you, so bear with me and just entertain this idea that your life and your circumstances do not determine how you feel. So when I discovered this, that your thought, and neuroscience shows us this, neuroscientists now have technology that has advanced to the point that they show us that our thoughts create our feelings. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or anxiety or whatever negative emotion you don't like, it's not circumstances in your life that are causing it, it's how you're thinking about it. So this idea that there are circumstances in your life, there's your farm, there's all the things to do, there's the bills, there's the debt, there's all that. And then there's you, separate from that. Where we run into trouble, a lot of us, is we think it's the same thing. We make it mean something about us. Like, I have debt and I can't pay my debt, and so I'm not a good person. We combine meaning with the two. What I want you to start to entertain the idea of separating those two, that you are not your life. There's the circumstance, you have the thing going on, and then there's you, and you create your own life, and whatever it is you want, you get to create. I also want to share with you that you're not born knowing this. These are not things we're taught in school. I hope within the next decade or two, they will start teaching us time management, which is brain management and thought management, in schools. But right now, most of us learn it because we get to a place where our life is out of control and we can't figure out why. And then we come to webinars like this and start learning this. So you're not born knowing this. It is a learned skill. It's also not a personality trait. So a lot of people will come to me for coaching and think, well, it's just my personality that I'm not very structured, or it's just my personality that I'm a disorganized person. Well, those are not personality traits. And the reason it's important that you not think about them that way is then you're kind of stuck in them. If you think, I don't manage my time well, and that's just my personality, you're helpless to change that. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to bring more intention to your life and purpose, peace, rest. I know that 5 years ago, I couldn't imagine being rested unless I quit the farm. I really thought that the only way for me to have peace and rest in my life is get rid of everything, because I thought that circumstance was causing me all the overwhelm and stress. All right, so this presentation coming up, it's for you if you have an idea of what you want your life to be, but you need some help figuring it out. I'm going to share with you 4 steps that will change your life. Okay, and the problem these steps will solve is the problem that most people come to me with is they feel like they can't control their circumstances, and that's a problem to them. What I want to share with you that any circumstance in your life is not a problem. It's how you're thinking about it. Okay, so Your customers aren't the problem. The complaints your customers send or the criticisms on Facebook, none of that's the problem. The employees aren't a problem. Your spouse, your kids, other people's expectations of you, Mother Nature, none of these things are things you can control, and they aren't a problem for you unless you think a thought and you think in a way that that's the problem, which makes you helpless to fix it. So here you're stepping into realizing that those are separate circumstances and they don't have any control over you. It's how you think about them. So the only thing you can control is your response to all of it. I'm going to show you how as we go through here. But what happens is when you live life with purpose and on purpose and with intention, you'll know exactly how you're going to feel during the day. And at the end of the day, you're going to know that you got done what you wanted to get done. You trust that you're a person to keep your commitments to yourself and do the things, and also feel the way you want to feel during the day. So you're not running around full of anxiety getting all the things done. You do it with a sense of calm, control, accomplishment, whatever works for you. All right, so did you know, and again, I'm just sharing things with you that I had to learn the hard way. Did you know that everything can go wrong and it can blow up and you can still live your day the way you want because of how you choose to think about it and how you choose to respond to the things? Sometimes people will come to me and things have happened and they let it ruin their whole life or ruin their whole day or their month or their year. So you don't have to live that way. Things can go wrong and you can still maintain calm and control and peace throughout it all. And then a lot of people will tell me, well, my life will be better in the future when I change location, when we buy the new farm, when we move to a new place, or when I change products, when I add the new product or get rid of the old product, or when I change customers. I need to change my ideal customer, then life will be better. Or they need their spouse to change. They need people to respect them more, and then life will be better. Or they think they need their kids to change or their customers. And they think that that's why they're not living the life they want, or that's why they're struggling in life. But what I want to tell you is you don't have to change anyone outside of you or anything outside of you either in order to feel better, because you totally give away your power when you do that. The only way to solve the problem is in how you show up and how you're thinking about the problem, because you're still going to have husbands and spouses who don't do what you want them to do. And you're still going to have customers who criticize you or people who complain. You're still going to have all that, but you can solve the problem of making it overwhelm you and make you feel bad and not manage your day and your life well when you change how you think about it. So I want to go over 4 things that are common among a lot of us that don't work, 4 things we do that aren't working. One, so common, I hear and see this all the time. People are, many farmers are frantically hustling to get it all done. And they feel overwhelmed. And when I say, well, why are you feeling overwhelmed? They'll say, there's so much to do. And I'll say, well, what do you have to do? And they'll list like 10 things that they're trying to get done. And there's deadlines on each of them. But what happens is when you feel overwhelmed, you get stuck. You freeze. A lot of my clients will use the word, I feel paralyzed. So it's the exact opposite of what you're going to need to feel in order to get things done. So when you're trying to frantically hustle, it's not going to work to free up more time. So some people will say things like, well, I don't see how that'll work. It's never worked in the past. Instead, consider new thoughts, because remember, your thoughts create your feelings and feelings drive all action. So if you think a thought, I don't see how that will work, you're not going to try the new thing. But if instead you think, I'm doing this thing and I'm figuring out how to make it work, I just want you to notice the difference there in how those 2 thoughts make you feel, okay? No amount of frantic hustling outside of you will make you feel in control ever. It's just not possible. when you take action out of feeling frantic, it's always going to have bad, negative feeling results. Okay, the second thing that's holding a lot of us back is we criticize ourselves. And we say, well, it's just a fact. I didn't get all the things done. I'm not good with my time. I'm not good at organization. I'm not good with my calendar. I didn't get it all done. Well, that's a form of self-sabotage that keeps you stuck, not scheduling and planning and following through on your plan the next time. So you never get to a place where you can get to the bottom of the to-do list, for instance, because you're thinking thoughts like this that hold you back. Some real sneaky criticisms that a lot of us do that you can start to be aware of is if you say something like, well, I just need to be more fill in the blank, like patient or caring or smarter or disciplined. I just need to work harder. I hear this a lot. And on the same breath, people will say, well, I feel lazy when I do that. So they're calling themselves lazy and thinking they need to work harder in the same breath. Those are things that hold you up. They're little self-criticisms that don't propel you to plan your time and follow through on it and keep that commitment. So be aware of if you're telling yourself that thing. Often people will tell me, well, if I don't criticize myself, then I'm accepting myself the way I am, where I'm not getting everything done that I want to get done. But I'm telling you, criticism is not the way to become a more accomplished or a more organized person. So start catching yourself or start being aware of if you're criticizing yourself with little things you're saying, like, I just need to do a better job of getting things done during the day. That sounds really innocent, but that's a criticism that's beating yourself up for what you didn't get done, and it's going to make you feel bad and not follow through or keep your commitments to yourself. The third thing we do that's causing us struggle is we try to do it all. And we think, if I do it all, and again, this is part of our socialization that we think we're supposed to do it all, as women especially. If I do it perfectly, if I get it all done, then life will be better. Then I will feel good. So when I get to the end of this to-do list, then I can finally enjoy myself. But here's what I want to share with you that all my clients are doing before we start working together is they keep moving that finish line. You know, they think if I get it all done, then I'll have some time off. But the finish line keeps moving out to where you never get it all done. And that's what I was doing 5-6 years ago. I was so unfulfilled because that to-do list is never ending. I kept moving that finish line. So just remember, you can't hustle your way externally on the outside, getting things done, to feel fulfilled internally. So no amount of hustle on the outside makes you feel better on the inside. The fourth thing we do is worry and rumination. Oh my gosh. Again, 5 years ago, it was like, how do I stop these looping thoughts? I couldn't figure it out. And a lot of times we think that, well, if I worry about it enough, then I'll figure it out and feel better. But worry never results in that. I remember things would work out. Like, I would worry for days and days and days or weeks about something, and then the thing would work out. And my husband would say, well, why are you worrying so much? It's going to work out. And I said, well, I think it worked out because I worried so much. So I had myself convinced that the reason things got done in my life was because I was causing myself all this worry and anxiety. But it doesn't. It's not how our brain is set up to work. Lisa says she could totally relate to moving the finish line. Everyone, who else does that? Chris. Hi, Chris. Good to see you. I know so many names on here. So just notice that as women, it's like we can clean our house, but we never feel satisfied because we think, well, yeah, sure, I cleaned the bathroom, but look at the kitchen. So then we go clean the kitchen, and it's like, sure, I cleaned the kitchen, but then there's that overflowing closet. We never have a finish line. Sherry rewrites the to-do list. Fresh list, same items on it. Ugh. Yes, you guys. So this is so good because I want to share with you, this might sound really foreign to you right now, but it's all in your head. It's how you're thinking about the things I'm talking about here that are causing you problems. So stay with me and this will start to make sense. So again, we've been socialized to believe like that worry is good. You know, think of how many of us with our kids would sit around and worry with our girlfriends. We're all worried about this, like it's a good thing. So we're taught that practice, but there is no amount of worry and rumination that will get you to living a fulfilled and satisfied life. Yes, I have the idea that there's always something to do on the farm mindset. Yeah, we're raised, a lot of us who were raised on farms were raised that you never sit, if you're sitting around, if you have time to sit down, then you have time to go pull weeds or, you know, unload the ton of hay or whatever. So again, we're working against a lifetime of socialization, and this is really, really important because it's making us sick if we don't start to shift what's happening. All right, so it sounds like a lot of you are relating to these 4 things that we do to hold us back. Here's what I want you to remember. Worry will never make you feel better. Hustling will never make you feel more peaceful. Self-criticism will never make you feel good about yourself, and it doesn't make you better. And trying to do it all will never make you feel productive or accomplished. Okay, so many of us relate to those 4 things, but those 4 things will not get you to your goal of wanting to feel better, feel fulfilled, you know, enjoy more of life. All right, so here are the things you can control. I just told you what you can't control. The only thing you can't control are the things outside of you, your circumstances, your partners, your spouses, your kids, your customers, the weather, the animals. You can't control those things. You control everything else in your life, which is you control your thoughts, which create your feelings, which drive all of your actions, which create the results in your life. So you still get to create the results you want in your life, no matter what is going on outside of you, no matter what's going on with your circumstances. So how in the world do we do this? I've got 4 steps for you. Hang on, let me take a drink of water. So the 4 steps to do that is number 1, learn to think and feel on purpose. Most of us think our thoughts are in control of us. Okay? And Melissa says you can't always think yourself out of anxiety. No, you don't think yourself out of anxiety. No, you can't. You can't think yourself out of an emotion, period. So you want to learn to think and feel on purpose. Most of us let our thoughts and feelings happen to us. People come to me and they tell me like, oh, I have so much to do. Well, they haven't realized that they can decide to think that thought, or they can decide to think something that feels way better and actually will result in more productivity. So you can't create a life on purpose if you don't learn to manage your thoughts. So that's what we're learning here is thought management. All right, number 2, you need to have planned productive time in your days, in every single day. Planned productive time. Like I don't mean a to-do list, but you're actually going to plan how to spend your time. Most people are doing this wrong. They put things on their calendar that say things like, work on marketing, 10 a.m. tomorrow, if they even write down a time. Lots of times I'll just see a to-do list when I ask to see their calendar. It says like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to do this out on the farm, and then I got to get back to this person over here, and I'm going to work on marketing. That's doing it the wrong way. What you will want to, and that's why your to-do list is just never ending, because you never get it done. What you want to learn to do is retrain your brain to plan your results ahead of time, so that what you're writing down on the calendar is at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. I will be in my office, and at the end of that time, I will have a marketing email written and scheduled for delivery to all my email list and ready to post on Instagram and Facebook too. So what you want to learn to do is start writing things down on your calendar in the form of results. What are the results you want? If you just have a to-do list that says work on marketing one day this week, it's like it's floating out there in midair and it'll never get done. So you're going to learn to plan your productive time, which means you're going to write it down as in the results you want during that, to see at the end of that time. The third part, step 3, planned pleasure and rest time. As women, remember, we're socialized to believe often that we need to deserve pleasure or rest or earn pleasure or rest. And again, this is really hurting us. And this is where moving that finish line comes in a lot, because some women will think like, well, if I get this thing done today or done this week, then I'll have earned my rest, but they never quite earn it. They keep moving the finish line of, no, I need to get 3 more things done before I earn the rest. No, I need to pay off my mortgage before I earn the rest. So we keep moving that finish line and we never get a rest. This is hurting us, really, really hurting us in so many ways. And the fourth thing you need is an appreciation practice. Again, to dig ourselves out of this hole of feeling overwhelmed and not knowing, feeling like our calendar is controlling us. There are thousands of cognitive science studies, so scientific backed research showing the importance of gratitude and appreciation, whatever this might look like for you. Okay, let's dive in a little more. So think and feel on purpose. Our brains are wired for survival, which means they seek out the negative in our world to protect us. So our brains have a positive intention. It wants us to survive, but it goes about it in a way that if we don't learn to manage it, will cause us constant anxiety. Like, what about this? What about this bill? Oh no, the rain is coming. What about the hay crop? It's always looking out for danger. That means sometimes you will read things on Facebook and you will just see all the negative comments pop out at you. And that's why your brain is actually wired to look for the negativity, which means you need to retrain it to start spending time in the positive. What I like to tell people is you got to spend time you got to give equal airtime to the positive. So if all you're seeing is the negative in your life, in your days, whatever, you have to intentionally at least spend 50% of your time looking for those positive things. If you don't learn to be intentional with your thoughts, if you just leave your thoughts up to habit, whatever pops up, you will mostly have negative thoughts, because again, there's nothing wrong with you. It is how our brains are wired. So we have 2 parts of the brain. We've got the survival part of our brain. It's wired to look for the negative. And then we have our prefrontal cortex, which is what you use to manage that part of our brain. But most of us have not been taught how to use our prefrontal cortex to manage the negativity. So just one little thing you could do is 50-50 airtime. If you've got a bunch of negative things going on, then 50% think of equally as many positive things going on. Have you ever come home? This is interesting. My husband and I will remind each other of this. He'll come home and say, how was your day? And I'll say, oh, it was okay. I didn't get this done. I didn't do that. And that thing went wrong. And he'll say, well, tell me what you did do. Tell me what you did get done. And he immediately helps me flip that of, oh yeah, if I leave my brain up to its own devices, it's going to see everything I didn't get done. So then I stop and I make a conscious effort to think of all the things I did get done. You can list them off. So make sure you're spending time thinking about the positive things in your life, because left on its own, your brain will only fill you with negative. And that's why you think things aren't working out. 2, the planned productive time. Less is more, you guys. Again, I work with a lot of people on time management, whether it's in a group coaching or one-on-one coaching. When they first come to me, they're always doing what I call arguing with reality. I'll say, well, what do you have to do? And they'll give me like 20 things. Well, you've got to be realistic. I've mentioned it on the podcast before. It's like trying to pour 5 gallons of milk into a 1-gallon jar and then getting mad that you're dumping milk all over. It's getting spilled. It's not all landing in the jar. If you're trying to accomplish too much in your day, more than you have time for, you're setting yourself up to feel terrible. You didn't set yourself up for success. So many people will plan nothing and not get much done. or they will plan everything and cause incredible overwhelm. So what you're going to learn to do is to plan fewer things and be realistic with the things you do plan. And you want yourself to be successful, so you're going to plan just the number of things that you're actually going to accomplish in that amount of time, which means you will learn to practice. You can practice planning smaller blocks of time with things in them and more focused time. So what you're actually doing is planning less to get more done. And then Lisa likes arguing with reality. Many, many, many of us argue with the reality of what is. We'll get mad. We will be angry that it rained on the hay crop. And it's like, well, that's the reality. It rained on the hay crop. That's a fact. You can be angry about it, which is going to affect the rest of your life, or you can accept the fact that it rained, which is going to make you creative. You're going to feel better, and you're going to be able to move on in real life. It doesn't condone that it's okay that it got rained on and is going to get moldy, but you're arguing with reality if you're angry that it happened, because it did happen. That's the reality. And all the anger does is make you feel terrible and hold you back from feeling successful in life. Okay, so step 3 is planning pleasure and rest time. Okay, I know a lot of you are going to have maybe bristle at this one when I say you will learn to be more accomplished and more productive when you actually plan rest time in every single day. So tell me in the comments, do you do that? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's impossible? Do you think it shouldn't happen? I would love to hear your thoughts, your immediate reaction to that, because a lot of women, me included years ago, realized that when I heard that I have to plan some rest time in every day, I thought, well, that's impossible. How can that happen? And there's so much to do. Why would I do that? It's taking away from productive time. But when I learned this, yeah, Carrie says I can plan it, but it's the first thing to go when I run out of time. And Morgan says, no, I love it. 63 things on her to-do list. Oh my gosh. Sherry's tried to plan on 30-minute walks. It doesn't happen. Okay, this is so good, you guys. This is going to blow your mind. How do you do that? Denise says, here's how I do it. Everything will never be done. You will never get to a place where everything will be done. It's just how it is. So the reality is you're always going to have things to do. Chris said it went out the window this morning, but several times this past week she made it happen and felt so much better. Yay. So you guys know that saying on the airplane when we used to be able to fly on the airplanes that you put your oxygen mask on first before you assist the people you're traveling with. Because there's nothing, if you don't get your oxygen mask on first, you won't be there to help them and save them, right? This rest time in our daily lives is that oxygen mask. We won't be there to help the other people if we're not planning this. And not only the other people, we will not be there to help ourselves if we don't plan this. I don't mean to scare you guys, but let me tell you this. I have 18 coaching clients a week, every single week. More than half of them have autoimmune diseases, and several of them, all farmers, all farm women, have more than one autoimmune disease. They are learning this step 3 here now, and it is helping with their symptoms, and it is helping move them toward recovery. But what would be far better is if you take some proactive measures and be preventative, and you start planning the rest now so you don't get to an autoimmune disease and then hit bottom and then have to start over learning this from a deficit. Okay, so everything will never be done. And what happens is when you plan rest time in, sorry, I had to move to the next slide. When you actually plan rest time in every day, you will find that earlier in the day, or whenever, whether it's morning, so it's later, you are far more focused and productive because you have that rest time to look forward to. So I used to work till dinner, and then we'd go out and work after dinner. We'd go to bed, I'd get the kids their bath and everyone get to bed, and we'd get up and repeat the thing the next day, hoping that maybe next year we'd get a vacation. That's where I was, and I didn't see how I could go on farming. It just didn't make sense. When you plan rest time in every day, what I started doing is I started being done by 5 o'clock, and now I'm done by 4 o'clock every day so that I can go engage with my daughter. I have one child left at home, make dinner, enjoy my family, and I do not go back to work after dinner anymore. Then during my day, I am so much more productive and focused because I know I have that rest time to look forward to. So when I'm torn between finishing this project, even though I'm really tired, it's easy for me to say, oh man, if I finish this now, if I power through for 20 more minutes, even though I'm tired, I have my whole evening. So you guys might think that's impossible. I encourage you to try it. Start with 1 hour a day that's purely for you, not productive. You're not grocery shopping. You're not cleaning something. You're not cooking meals, but it's an hour rest just for you. Start with that. What you will find over time when you retrain yourself to do this, you will be so renewed and energetic that all of a sudden what used to take you 18 hours a day and you still weren't getting it all done, you will get done in 6 hours a day, and you will start to feel fulfilled in life, or maybe 8 hours a day. Or if you're brand new you've just started your farm, it might be more hours the first year. But when you plan this rest time in there intentionally, you will get so much more done in the hours you do work. This also builds your self-confidence. You feel so much more valued and worthy, and you get the dopamine hit from getting your things done, and you get renewed from having rest time. Okay, and it doesn't take anything away from your calendar. And Lynn says if she doesn't make time for rest and relaxation, then an illness will creep in and force the rest. Yeah. You guys, a lot of this happened for me when I broke my ankle years ago in June, 3 years ago, start of the busy season. And it was weirdest thing. It was like God hit me over the head with a 2x4 and said, you were not taking care of yourself. So I broke your ankle so you would, because all I could do the first 3 weeks was sit on the couch with my ankle up, and take Motrin. And I became so grateful. It was like, wow, that was a huge wake-up call that I was not taking care of myself. So the universe provided me with an illness. Yeah, I mean, everyone has their own beliefs, but it's like, if I don't take care of myself, an illness or a broken ankle or something might make that happen anyway. So that was just kind of a wake-up call for me. Okay, step 4 is an appreciation practice. Now, we've all heard of gratitude practice, but I've noticed with my clients, now that I work with a lot of people one-on-one, I can see trends. And sometimes I see that when people are grateful or trying to do a gratitude practice, they use that to shame and criticize themselves. So I've adjusted that in my life to an appreciation practice. Like, I actually appreciated my broken ankle because it showed me, I learned so many valuable lessons from it. I wasn't in love with a broken ankle. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone, but I appreciated the lessons it taught me. So Lisa says, oh, okay. I'm just sorry. I'm looking at the comments because, Meg said someone I wanted to point out. She said it models good behavior for the people around you. Those of you who have children, if you are stressed out and not keeping a very calculated calendar and not accomplishing the things you want to accomplish during the day, you are teaching all that to your kids, and you're going to see the same traits in them. And that's where people start telling me, oh, it's a personality trait I passed on to your kids. No, it's actually a learned skill that you will also pass on to your kids, or for me, my employees. I require my employees to keep a calendar like I do, and it's life-changing for them too. Okay, so appreciation practice, like Lisa paused and used the rainbow the other day out of window. How many times do we look out our windows and we see everything that should be done or fixed instead of the immense beauty we're surrounded by? So I have a conscious appreciation practice every morning. I get up an hour before anyone else, and it's part of my morning routine is an appreciation practice. Yes, this is actually part of you learning to manage your time better. Okay, so I want to tell you, now that I'm 53 years old and life goes by very quickly. My 2 kids are moved out. I only have 1 left at home. People I know, our parents are dying, my husband and I. I've had 3 girlfriends in their 50s, young 50s, pass away from cancer. Life goes very, very, very fast. Every day just comes and goes. So how do you want to spend that time? If you're just in reaction mode on your farm, you will not feel as wonderful as you can feel as if you intentionally plan it. So I just want to share with you that many people aren't deciding how to spend their time or how they want to feel in their days. And when you learn to manage your thinking around it, you learn to create how you want to feel, okay, by all the things I've talked to you about so far. So just remember, life is short, short, short. And the older I get, the faster it goes. All right, so what I've talked to you about today is kind of like the owner's manual for your brain that you're never given. We aren't given unless we learn it someplace like this. Okay, you aren't taught it in school. So nothing is scary or overwhelming or confusing or impossible. I tell you, nothing is. It's just the way you're thinking about it that's making you feel that way. Things are circumstances and they can't make you feel a certain way. It's how you think about it. Number 2, again, owner's manual for your brain. Most people plan nothing or they plan way too much, but they aren't able to do it. Okay, so you want to plan just the right amount of things that you will get done. Most people live in overwhelm. You don't have to live that way. You'll learn to plan fewer things, smaller blocks of time, more focus, and it results in when you plan less, you actually get more done. When you have that focus time, you are so much more productive and efficient. All right, so once you know these 4 steps, you will learn, and you don't learn them from this one webinar. You're gonna be introduced to them here. Hopefully you took some notes. You're gonna go home or if you're already at home, you're gonna practice these things. What you're gonna notice is your life will start to calm down week after week. You're gonna start to find some balance and control in your life when you do these things, when you plan your productive time by putting down the results you want in your days, when you plan appreciation time, when you choose your thoughts with intention, and you plan rest time. When you do those 4 steps, you will bring so much more purpose and joy and fulfillment and intention. It will take weeks and months, but you're gonna start to feel better. All right, so if you could take, I'd love for everyone to put in the comments here, like, what's one thing you're going to do to, like, are you going to decide to plan an hour of rest time every day the next week? Or are you going to commit to not just working from a to-do list, but scheduling things in your calendar and putting the result you want in there? What's one thing you're going to do in here for the next week? I'd love to know your takeaway, because none of this will change inside of you unless you can decide now that you're going to take one step to do. Carrie says morning yoga. Oh, I love that. And Penelope from New Zealand, and it's what, 4 o'clock in the morning in New Zealand. Penelope, thank you for being here. She's going to focus on results. Morning walk. Denise, Diane, yoga, meditation, so many wonderful things. And you think, oh, I don't have time, so I have to cut out the yoga, the meditation, the rest. But I tell you, when you do those things, you create more focus the rest of your day. All right. Rest without my phone in hand. You guys, it's so important that resting is not include your phone, okay? The phone creates anxiety. Notice when you pick up your phone and you open it up, how your shoulders feel. Phones are meant to, they are wired to create addiction feelings inside of us. So if you're going to have rest time, yeah, you got to do it without the phone in hand. So I love this, that you guys are going to take some action steps. This is great. Okay, whoops. Okay, I'm going to show you quickly. So I have like hours and hours in my time mastery course on this, but in one slide, I'm going to show you what I do. And if I can teach it in 2 minutes, that's what I'm teaching you now. Otherwise, I do have a whole, there's a lot to learn on this, but it gives you such a fulfilling life when you do. So this is what I do. Every Sunday, I sit down with my calendar. It can be online or it can be paper, doesn't matter. And I notice in my calendar the appointments I already have. My coaching clients are pre-scheduled. There's 18 appointments already scheduled in my calendar. I make sure those are done, okay? Then the next thing I do is I block off my daily personal time. For me, that's 5 to 6 a.m. And that's from 4 p.m. on in the afternoon. That's blocked out. The next thing I do is I plan deep focus work. So as you know, I have a podcast. I create a lot of content. Deep focus work for me is I need a 2-hour block where nothing's around, the door's locked, all tabs are closed on the computer except what I'm working on, phone is off, and I focus on creating the podcast. And at the end of that 2 hours, I'm going to be done with my next podcast. I give myself 2 hours to do it. So I do that. For you, you might need deep focus time to create a marketing material for that week or whatever it might be. So what is the thing you need to focus on? If you're writing a book, like many of you write books, that would be your focus time here. When I created this webinar, I was asked to create the webinar. I needed focus time uninterrupted to do that. So I had 2-hour blocks at a time. So that goes after my personal time. That's what I plan next. Then I make up a big to-do list on Sunday. I take everything off the to-do list. Every single thing from the to-do list goes on my calendar. If it stays on a to-do list, it's going to float around and cause you stress and anxiety. You calendar it. And then you will have to decide, some things you'll realize you can just let go of. They don't need to be on the to-do list. If there are things that should happen on the to-do list, but they're for next quarter, you open your calendar, you go to the next quarter and you calendar them. But you take your to-do list, you write it on the calendar in terms of results, and then the next step is really, really, really important. You throw away your to-do list. I no longer work from a to-do list. I do just what I did here, and it is so freeing. I use the words freedom, ease, and joy and productivity. That's what this process does. So I have small blocks of time where I'm focused on getting one thing done, and it results in so much efficiency, productivity, and enjoyable, fulfilling life. My husband and I get to enjoy a relationship. We get to sit down and have dinner outside. I got to a point where we have this beautiful property and we weren't enjoying it. We weren't able to eat out of the garden because we're too busy. We weren't able to just walk around and pick a bouquet of flowers because we were too busy. My life is the exact opposite now today. So now I spend this day coaching and teaching others to create the same thing, because if you don't, we pay a big price for not learning how to manage our thoughts and our time. Okay, so this is my last slide, and then I'll, if there are any questions, for sure bring those up. I created for you guys what I call an Inbox Zero training. You can get that free, 3calmarketing.com/0. It is a process I use. Morgan says, thank you, you're so welcome. It's a process I use that I get my email inbox to zero. I've used it, I've taught it to my marketing students for the last couple years. And when they do it, they post pictures of their email inbox with 0 emails in it, and they claim how amazing they feel, how light, how all that. So you guys can watch that video. It walks you through exactly how I get it to 0. Okay, Lisa says, Lisa says her son, your reboot when your 18-year-old son gives you his copy of Man's Search for Meaning with the suggestion that it might be helpful, Mom. I know you guys, we pass these on for our kids. Yay for you, Lisa, that you have a son who's so self-aware to be able to do that. All right, Julie says, how do you deal with customers dropping by and wanting to chat? I find people thinking that since I'm home, I'm not doing anything. Even when they interrupt me from something, it happens a lot. So Julie, you create, since it happens, you decide, do you want it to happen? If you want it to happen, what I had to do, because we have a farm store right here, is I have farm store hours. That's when people get to come and chat with you during farm store hours. Or maybe you set a farm tour, because I'm not always working in the farm store. If they want access to me, we have a farm tour once a month where they have access to me. You learn to create boundaries around that, and then you direct them to it. So when someone stops by, you're sitting on your back deck enjoying your glass of lemonade because it's your personal time, and you say, oh, great, I'll come back tomorrow during store hours, we can chat. That means you're going to have to develop new skills. How are you going to have to feel to set those boundaries? You're going to have to feel probably confident and courageous. These are all things I talk about on the podcast. So just know that your customers don't determine your schedule. You get to learn how to do that. Okay, and then I know in the nature of time, get the Inbox Zero training. See you in the Profitable Mindset for Busy Women Facebook group, also the Profitable Mindset podcast. And then I'm going to stop sharing and go back to Lisa. And I can still answer questions too if they come in.
Oh. Okay. Did I lose my slide? Can folks hear me okay? Am I on? We're good? All right, great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Charlotte. And thank you, everybody, for the great questions and suggestions. I will be using those and keep in touch as we move into the next month of our resilience series here. So I would also to get all this stuff to everybody in a follow-up email later this week with the recording of this. So if you know some folks who missed it or you missed some pieces, you can easily access that. Would love your feedback. There's a link here if you got a second to do a quick, just a quick multiple choice, but survey questions on what we did today. And we're really looking for ideas for the future, especially in this virtual space, and look forward to seeing you back in the virtual space again on Tuesday, this time August 18th at 1, where we'll be with Denise O'Brien and talking a little bit more in detail on how we as women can support each other and create an idea sharing forum, etc. So that will be a good one, and look forward to seeing you there. And yeah, with the efforts of time, we will continue this conversation too on the Moses in Her Boots Facebook group, and feel free to email me and we can keep in touch. But again, thanks for everybody's time. Thanks for all the practical tips, Charlotte. This was great. And I mean, yeah, that was my son who gave me the copy of Victor Frankl's book. So like I said in the beginning, I needed some good reminders on rainbows and others, and most importantly, some shared time with all of your good energy here online. So thanks, everybody, and look forward to keeping connected. Take care.
Thanks, Lisa.